What's good, people? It's about that time to randomly late reverse rant. No hate. So, I want to talk a little bit about the heavyweight division. And, you know, one of the things, I just did a video about Jared Anderson and him not being dedicated to the sport. This isn't something that we just basically uncovered by digging and looking and searching. Like, he made that clear himself that he doesn't love boxing. So, you know, I don't think anybody is really shocked at anyone who understood that, put it that way, is really shocked at him having like some lackluster performances, his level of competition not being that high. Then when he finally steps up against, you know, I really, when I look at Charles Martin, on paper Charles Martin was a step up, but really Charles Martin is a shot fighter. So at this point, you know, him beating Charles Martin, you know, he beat him, but I really wasn't impressed with Jared Anderson, where I felt like confident that going forward that this guy was going to be something special, like he was going to be that guy. I felt like he should have really did Charles Martin worse than what he did. And people say things like, yeah, but look at his experience level, and it's like, listen, the difference between special fighters or really good fighters is that they stand out and they shine against old washed up veterans. They stand out and they shine against guys that have more fights than them because they're better. They just don't have as many fights. So even with less ring experience, what they physically can produce in the ring is evident. So when he steps up against Martin McCauley, that's his actual, really, that's his real step-up fight. And most people thought Jared Anderson was going to lose. Most people that understand boxing. The most you got, and me personally, I'm looking like, okay, he looks technically a little more fluid and can put shots together and do more things than McCauley. But the mental toughness, the physical toughness, being battle tested, that's what he didn't have on his side. Because even to be in a battle with someone that's not that good, but you survive it, that's one of the things people overlook. It's like, okay, but you struggle with a guy like Charles Martin. To beat a guy like McCauley, it's like you're going to have to show us something different, which is what I said about him. He's going to have to be different because McCauley's going to be McCauley. And the thing is, it's easy to say, oh, he's going to do this and he's going to do that, but you don't know that, especially when a guy has to do things we've never seen him do before. It's easy to say, this is what this guy's going to do. So it's more fitting to say, well, what he needs to do, or some of the things he's going to have to do. And sometimes fights just don't go the way you think they're going to go. But that being said, when I look at the heavyweight division, one of the things I think about is, once Usyk retires, now whether Usyk retires undefeated, just give the belts up and go, or whether he actually loses to someone. Now, let's just say, for example, it's a Dan Dubois, or Joseph Parker beats Dubois, and whoever has a title fight for undisputed with Usyk. There's no one heavyweight to me that stands out that I look at that I feel like this guy is going to be the one to, you know, lead the heavyweight division, like really dominate and really just become that special fighter. I don't see anyone that looks like that right now. And a lot of these guys are already in their 30s, you know, so in terms of how long they would even hold the titles, it's like the division is becoming weaker and weaker. I look at guys like Anthony Joshua, you know, of course, Fury, Deontay, you know, those guys, even, like I said, Usyk age-wise, Usyk is already 38, so how much longer, you know, we don't know. You know, Shelley Zhang, like, these guys are already, like, to me, these guys already, they are as good as they're going to be. For Anthony Joshua, I don't expect him to get better. If anything, it's what he already knows, to be more consistent in when to apply, how to apply. That's what it is for AJ. You know, believing in himself, the mental toughness. But at some point, a lot of fighters just, they fold, man. They get to that point where it's like, all right, I've had enough. They don't say it to themselves, but the feeling inside is like they have to fight and push themselves to do what they've already been doing. And you've heard many fighters say, when it's no longer fun, when I have to force myself to do things that I normally love to do, it's time to hang them up. And that's the truth. So when I see like interviews, and the interviewer is saying things like, I think Anthony Joshua should stay away from McCauley. Or you ask a fighter, why would you take such a risky fight? To me, that's insulting to a fighter, because it's like, what the hell do you mean? Why would I take this fight? Why wouldn't I take this fight? In fact, what would you say about me if I didn't take this fight? Once it gets to the point where you go from wanting to be the best fighter in the world or in your division to, I just want to show that I still, am a good fighter, or I'm one of the best, or now your lingo even changes because the hunger's not the same. So when I look at who's there right now, I feel like we're going to have some, there's the fighters that's undefeated. The guys like Ayatollah, like certain guys, Dubois not undefeated, but, he's the WBC champion right now, and people are starting to put some respect on his name. But in terms of where they go, how long they can do this, the impact that they're going to have, the type of fights, we know that Turkey has been doing a good job as far as putting good cards together. Now, in terms of the heavyweight division particularly, it's like I'm looking at this thing like the division may become even more boring after Usyk is done. Because when you look at who's who, right? I'm not talking about star power. I'm talking about like what they produce in the ring. Nobody stands out to me. I don't know. Maybe some of you guys might have people in mind that you feel like stand out to you, but none of them stand out to me. And what I'm saying, I don't see a clear winner. There's nobody I look at that I feel like this guy, he's the one. None of them. I like Dubois as a fighter, but I don't know going forward what happens. For one, he has to get past Joseph Parker. Now, if he beats Joseph Parker, we can put Joseph Parker on the side too, in that same category with AJ and the rest of them. Why? It's really simple. Dubois went from looking bad, looking terrible in a fight, to going up against Usyk and holding his own for a little while. He was doing well, but he basically ran out of gas and quit. Okay? So when you look and say, yeah, but who else is as skilled as Usyk? Right now, in the heavyweight division, nobody. But you don't have to be Usyk to beat him. Do you understand what I'm saying? Dubois may be the guy to carry the division, but for how long? And this is what I'm saying. There's no superstars in boxing. The only superstar in the heavyweight division, the only superstars that was in the heavyweight division was Anthony Joshua. He's the only one. Little by little, Fury's star power, it increased, but not to where he thought it was going to be. That's why, the numbers that he did against Ngannou, people was like, wow, they thought this fight was going to be like on that level of Floyd versus Conor McGregor, and it failed. You can't even compare it. The money wasn't the same. The live gate wasn't the same. None of it was the same. Now, let's look at this. Whoever has the belt, if we have an undisputed champion, let's just say if Usyk gets beat and we have an undisputed champion, I feel like at some point sooner than later, the belts will be scrambled all over the place again. And we're going to go back to having 4 different heavyweight champions at the same time. Because I don't really see anybody with that real drive or that type of hustle or people that have the belief in these fighters that's out here that they, are willing to push them. And, you know, when it comes to being a draw, do they have that ability to have people come out to even care? And these opponents that's here right now, you got to look, man, these are guys that are just fighters. They're not any real special fighters out there, man. So, just something to think about. You know, something I did think about. It's not the first time I thought about this, but I'm looking at it now and it's like, wow, it's like a process of elimination. You know, like even for like Anthony Joshua, I feel like for AJ, if he ever becomes champ again, whether it's one, I mean, is it possible he can fight somebody and get a belt? Maybe. You know, I don't know. you know, I don't know. A lot of guys are just they just don't have it anymore, so you don't know. But in terms of him becoming undisputed or anything like that, well, the way he became unified champion, the first time he had to go belt after belt. And of course, the second time he, you know, won the rematch against Andy Ruiz. But the point is, for him to do it now, it would have to be he beat that one guy that's undisputed. And, you know, who knows, man? At some point, you just got to look at things for what they are. You got to think, like, it's not about who you like and don't like, man. You know, this is not what I'm speaking of. I'm speaking of, like, really just looking at who's out there. Frank Sanchez, I respected his skills, but even looking at his age, man, and like, I just don't see these guys, like, especially when you're not a standout and people already are not investing a lot of time in you. That's the problem with these guys, a lot of them, is that even though they may be good fighters, they're not getting good fights. So they don't sharpen up. And as if we saw them as a B-, they don't go any farther than a B-, any higher than a B-. You understand what I mean? So when you look at who's who, it just becomes a thing of just a lot of uncertainty, man, you know. And that's the one thing about the heavyweight division for sure, is that it doesn't have any superstars. After AJ, you know, Usyk's profile has been up, and pretty much AJ, Usyk, and Fury. Then it's just everybody else. Looking at who's who and looking at where the division is. Even if Turkey can continue to put, you know, solid cards on, even if Turkey can put championship bouts on, how interesting is it really going to actually be between the fighters that we have left? I don't know. Talk to me in the comment section, y'all. Never fall in love with lies. Remember, the truth brings hate out of people, and I will catch y'all on the next video.